Hey guys, it's PokeDude. Today we're going to discuss skill levels and which skills you should prioritize. These are just my opinions as a veteran player and shouldn't be taken as gospel. First off, if you're just starting out, don't worry about skill levels right away. Just having your servants at a high level will get you through the first few singularities without issue. Skills cost a lot of QP and materials that you might have much of early on. Once you hit the 5th or 6th singularity, it's time to start thinking about it. Now, obviously, you only want to start leveling skills for servants that you use frequently, whether it's to increase the skill's effects or to reduce the cooldown timer. In case you're unaware, all skills get a cooldown reduction at level 6, and again at level 10. Once you've narrowed that down, there's a general hierarchy of skill types to focus on. Ones that increase NP generation or charge the NP gauge by a certain amount based on level are usually going to be your top priority. There's a big difference between a 30% charge and a 50% one. In some cases it can mean finishing a farming node in 3 turns versus 6. You almost always want to take these skills to level 10. The only notable exception is Rapid Words of Divine, which is possessed by Medea, Lily, Nitocris, and Circe. Reason being, they'll exceed a 100% charge at an earlier level. Even if you're in a position where you can overcharge them, it's usually better to wait so you can fire off their NPs twice in a row. Keep in mind there are skills that raise the NP level by a fixed amount, while some other effect gets boosted with each level. These are still worth powering up to at least level 6 to reduce their cooldown timer. The next type of skill you'll want to look at is anything that boosts your attack power. Whether it's a straight attack up, card type effectiveness, NP power, crit power. Crit star generation can also fall into this category. Maximizing your damage output will let you finish fights faster. If you can avoid it, you don't want to turn it into a war of attrition. These kinds of skills you can take to at least level 6 and go higher if you can comfortably afford it. A half step down from those is defense debuffs. The reason they're below attack buffs is that stronger enemies tend to resist debuffs. They're still very useful for ending fights quickly, but that chance of failure is something to keep in mind. Again, take these as high as you can go without exhausting your materials. Defense buffs, enemy attack debuffs, and healing will come next. These skills usually only make a significant difference during especially tough fights. Most of the time a battle will end before they come into play. That said, they are very important later on. Mashes in particular can be a lifesaver during challenge quests. These can sit at level 4 until you have a decent surplus of materials. At the bottom of the barrel are the likes of Crit Start, Drop, and Gather Rates, and Guts. These skills are usually just as effective at level 1 as level 10. With Guts in particular, most skills don't heal enough to survive more than one round, even at level 10. These skills should only be leveled if they have a good secondary effect, or you use the servant in long challenge quests where it will benefit from a shorter cooldown timer. Note that this hierarchy is not absolute. There is some room for adjustments. For example, Mozart's 3rd skill grants a whopping 50 crit stars at level 10. Which means all of your attacks will be guaranteed crits that turn. Leveling that up might come before, say, Arash's 3rd skill, which is just fine at level 1 if you happen to have him equipped with Kaleidoscope. You know, he uses his NP and dies, so you don't need more than a 20% charge if you already have access to 80. Additionally, there are a lot of skills that don't really fit into the list. They can't be easily ranked and should be judged on a case-by-case basis. I'll go over some examples. Skills that have primary effects that don't scale with level at all are fairly common. Evasion, target focus, stuff like that. These always have a secondary effect that does scale with level. You can take those into account, but some are negligible. For instance, Lancer Ku's protection from arrows gives him 3 charges of evasion and 3 turns of defense up. Most of the time, the evasion will last for more than 3 turns, making the defense buff superfluous. That's not to say it shouldn't be leveled, though. Taking it to 6 for the cooldown and the insurance against the occasional bad luck is still a good idea if you can afford it. Meanwhile, Heracles' Mind's Eye fake grants him 1 turn of evasion and 3 turns of critical hit power. This one is obviously worth leveling for the secondary effect alone. Another category of skills to look at are ones that boost the chance of a skill working rather than the effect of the skill itself. Stun, NP gauge reduction, etc. I strongly suggest looking up the odds for such skills working at level 1 versus level 10 before committing to leveling them. Also consider how often you use these skills. A stun can be a lifesaver in an especially tough fight, but you're not going to get much use out of it while dealing with wyverns. And finally, we have signature skills. Some Zervans have truly unique skills that can't be compared to any others. Examples include Musashi's Fifth Force and Summer BB's Faceless Moon. You'll have to apply your knowledge and use your own judgment with these, as some gimmicks scale better with leveling than others. But for these specific examples, I'll tell you that Musashi's is amazing at level 10, and BB's is perfectly usable at level 1, but does benefit from going up to 10. And that about covers the topic of skill levels. Again, these are just my opinions, and I encourage you to experiment and see what works for you. Thanks for watching. If there's a topic you'd like to see me cover, leave a suggestion in the comments and I'll consider it. And if you'd like to help support the channel, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages in the video description. See you next time.